set? You ready?
I am.
Gotta get this,
Get a whole bunch of presentation.
yeah. Call the meeting to order. If we could please stand for the prayer. Dear God, today as this session opens, we pray that your presence will be before us and everyone who serves in the decision-making process of our city. We pray for direction that will lead our city to be strong and unified. May we continue the legacy of our founders. May we be granted the wisdom to make decisions which will be for the good of our city. We also pray for your special blessing on all those who are working to transform our city and make it a better place to live and work. Amen. Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Councilor Caulfield.
Here.
Councilor Donahue.
Here.
Councilor Elliott.
Here.
Mayor Martin.
Here.
Councilor Armand Mercia.
Here.
Councilor Rita Mercia.
Here.
Councilor Milanazzo.
Here.
Councilor Mendonça. Here. Councilor Broderick.
Here.
9 present.
9 present. I'd ask those present to, in a moment, rise in a moment of silence in darkened chambers in memory of a few special people who have passed this past week. First, Oscar DiStefano, owner of the Cafe Paradiso and one of the pioneers into the artist district in the downtown. Oscar worked very hard to establish the cafe with his sister Adriana and be sorely missed. Also, a moment of silence in darkened chambers for Kelly Page, a Lowell firefighter who also died about 10 days ago. Kelly was a terrific man, a coach, father of 3 children, loving husband, certainly gave all his efforts to everything he did, including service as a firefighter in our city. He too will be truly missed. Recognize any council members who'd like to comment further. Councilor Caulfield.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to say a few words about Oscar DiStefano, who was a great businessman. He knew how to be the host of a party, but more importantly, he was a great family man as well. He leaves his wife, his children, and his parents. And firefighter Kelly Page, the fire department, the chief, everyone who gave a eulogy for Kelly Page couldn't have said it better. Father, son, husband, uncle, brother-in-law, and a very dedicated public servant to the city of Lowell and the Lowell Fire Department. May both of them rest in peace.
Thank you, Councilor. Anyone further? If we could please stand in a moment of silence in darkened chambers in their memory. May they rest in peace. We do have a few special presentations this evening. The first is for Saints Medical Center, and I'd ask Kevin Coughlin, the chairman of the Saints Medical Center Foundation, to come forward. I want to present a citation to Saints in appreciation for their contribution in the American Heart Association Merrimack Valley Heart Walk this week. And I know with him is Jane Comeau from Saints, who's taken the lead in a lot of this work. I'll read the citation and present it and ask each of them to make a comment and tell us what's going on this Saturday morning. And be it hereby known to all in the City of Lowell and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts that we honor Saints Medical Center as the host and presenting sponsor of the inaugural American Heart Association Merrimack Valley Heart Walk. Heart care facilities throughout the Merrimack Valley will benefit from the event Through the Heart Walk and community education efforts, Saints hopes to increase awareness and generate enthusiasm in the community for making lifestyle changes that promote heart health. Lowell now joins Boston, Worcester, Springfield, and Cape Cod as a major Heart Walk venue. The entire city of Lowell is proud to honor this organization for being an important member of the community, given this 25th day of September by me, Bill Martin, the mayor. Thank you, Kevin and Jane, and all who've sponsored your event. I know there are many businesses in the community that are leading teams, and there's a great advance contributions that have been made already. Thanks for all you do. Congratulations.
Opportunity to recognize this first ever Merrimack Valley effort. In the past, it is centered in Boston, and this is the first time that we've brought awareness of the cause for heart disease here through this type of activity to the greater Lowell area. I am going to introduce Jane to say a few words, and I don't want to steal her thunder on what I say, but I do want to say that, you know, all the money that's raised here this weekend will go directly to the Heart Association. This is not a Saints Medical Center event in terms of fundraising. This is to bring awareness to the community for good prevention, good heart health. We're joined with other medical facilities throughout the Merrimack Valley in order to make this a success, and we presume that this will be something that will be done on an annual basis and hopefully will be very successful going forward. Jane?
Good evening, everyone, and I echo Kevin's sentiments in thanking the city for this honor. We are there Saturday morning at the Campus Pavilion. Registration is at 8:30 a.m. We're hoping for a great turnout throughout the Merrimack Valley. Right now we're expecting between 1,200 and 1,500 walkers. You could visit the merrimackvalleyheartwalk.org to register, or you could come down 8:30 in the morning on Saturday and register with us. Again, thanks. We're hoping for a great turnout. We welcome you all.
Thank you. Okay, second, this evening we have a presentation from Gunther Wellenstein, the recycling coordinator here in the city, to speak to the council and the public about Recycling Week. Gunther.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, and thank you for your time, Mr. Manager and councilors. I wanted to take a second, and not to compete with Saints Walk this weekend. We also have an event on Saturday. It's our semi-annual Household Hazardous Waste Day event, and the gate will open at 9 o'clock. This is an opportunity for you to bring the poisons out of the garage and the basement and drop them off appropriately so they don't end up in the waste stream and in the trash. So 9 o'clock. From Douglas Road, we'll open up Colley Stadium. We're there through 1 p.m. And this is a place to drop off paints, and primarily oil-based, stains and varnishes. And then from the vehicles, we take antifreeze, brake and transmission fluid, and also from the shed, perhaps, insecticides, weed killers. So it's a good chance to clean out, maybe a little bit of a fall cleanup. Bring it to our event on Saturday, and we have a waste management company taking care of it at a plant. They process it, and it is recycled. We also take from the house fluorescent light bulbs. They contain mercury, so we collect the thermostats and thermometers. We'll give you a digital thermometer if you bring us a mercury thermometer as an exchange, and button batteries. So all of those things are important to take out of the waste stream. It's an environmental effort to improve the city. So bring those items down. And a couple items that I should mention that we don't accept. One is latex paint. That is a different waste stream. You can log on to lowellrecycle.org or contact me here at City Hall, and we'll make sure that the latex paint is recycled properly. And also asbestos and auto tires we won't accept. So there's a much longer list for the do's and don'ts. They're available on the city website. You can go through lowellma.gov or lowellrecycle.org, and feel free to call with any questions. I appreciate the time this evening. Any questions here? Good. Then we'll see everybody at Saturday's event.
Saturday, and just tell us where it is again.
Colley Stadium through Douglas Road entrance.
And from 9?
9 a.m. we'll open the gate.
Okay. Until what time?
1 p.m. Last year we had this past May we had 626 cars, which Unfortunately, it did cause a traffic backup and a 1-hour wait right at the busy period. So come early, and you'll likely avoid the lines.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gunther. And we have one final special presentation before we start the agenda. Dana Skinner from the University of Massachusetts Lowell is here to tell us about the beginning of the hockey season.
Yeah, this is not a presentation. I'm not that well prepared, no, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. I think everybody remembers we went through a challenging assessment of our hockey program last spring. We needed the help of a whole host of folks to come through that in a way that secured our future. And I'm here tonight to invite you all to a party. We are opening our hockey season on October 26th. And we are calling this a salute to Lowell because, quite frankly, if citizens from Lowell didn't send emails, make phone calls, write letters, if our local delegation didn't support us, if the city manager didn't put before you an important vote that would help improve our circumstances at the arena, we might not be playing ice hockey this year. So we're very grateful. We're having this gathering on the 26th. You are invited as our special guest. I guarantee you'll have fun. We'll paint your faces and do all kinds of other stuff, red, white, and blue. So on behalf of Chancellor Meehan, I'm offering this invitation. You'll get a written invitation very soon, but I just appreciate the opportunity to extend a personal invitation to you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Skinner. Okay, that, I believe, concludes the preliminary matters. We can move to the agenda. The first item is approval of the minutes of the September 11th meeting. Motion to approve by Councilor Elliott, seconded by Councilor Broderick. Any questions or discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? The minutes are accepted. Under unfinished business, we have, in order to vacate, discontinue, and abandon certain public interest rights and easements in a portion of Border Street in the city of Lowell. This was considered at a prior council meeting, but by regulation was required to be held in the clerk's office for 1 week and for a roll call this evening. Are there any further questions, comments, or anything on the order to abandon Border Street? Okay, roll call.
Councilor Caulfield,
Yes.
Councilor Donahue,
Yes.
Councilor Elliott,
Yes.
Martin.
Yes.
Councilor Armand Mercia.
Yes.
Councilor Rita Mercia.
Yes.
Councilor Milanazzo.
Yes.
Councilor Mendonça.
Yes.
Councilor Broderick.
Yes.
9 yeas.
9 yeas, the item is approved. The next item are communications from the city manager. There is a special communication on the desk tonight from the city manager. I recognize the city manager to tell us about that communication.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have put before you tonight a letter that I would like to read to you regarding the police superintendent's position here in the city of Lowell. Dear Mayor Martin and members of the City Council, after a long process of removing the police superintendent position from the civil service system and gathering internal and external opinions and information on the operational needs of the department and the law enforcement needs of the city, I have made my decision to appoint Ken LaValle as Lowell Police Superintendent. Over the course of the next few weeks, I will be working to develop a 3-year contract with the Superintendent-Select with a formal swearing-in ceremony in late October, early November. Last December, I had the difficult task of selecting an interim superintendent to assume the responsibility of leading the police department after the resignation of former Superintendent Ed Davis. After careful consideration, I chose then Deputy Superintendent LaValle based upon his position, his years of experience, his knowledge of the department and the law enforcement needs of the city, and an apparent management philosophy that seemed appropriate for a department in transition. Over the past 9 months, while serving as acting superintendent, Ken LaValle has exhibited the knowledge that I had expected, but also a deeper understanding of the issues facing the city and its police department. He has shown leadership and creativity in managing the internal workings of the department and in tackling the law enforcement issues facing the city, including the continuation of the philosophy of community policing that has proven so successful in Lowell, plus new ideas to strengthen this approach. He has built successful partnerships with various groups, institutions, businesses, and other law enforcement agencies. As a result, I have seen a very positive attitude by members of the department and the external organizations that reflects a positive philosophy of problem solving. He has also become a key member of my administration's management team by contributing very positively to addressing a myriad of issues facing the city and its government. Importantly, my sentiments regarding the acting superintendent and his performance has been echoed by dozens of community leaders and average citizens who have responded to my offer to participate in this process by providing their opinion on the direction of the Lowell Police Department and the qualities that I should seek in making this appointment. Nearly every respondent praised Ken LaValle for his dedication, knowledge, and his accessibility, including reaching out to the community seeking their ideas and feedback. I'm very optimistic about the Lowell Police Department with Ken LaValle as superintendent, but also with a clearly outstanding staff of superior officers to manage the department and its mission. Along with a strong group of patrol officers and civilian staff, I am very confident that the Lowell Police Department will continue its success. Sincerely, Bernard Lynch, City Manager. As clearly stated in this letter, it's my pleasure to appoint Ken LaValle as superintendent.
Thank you very much. The manager sent me that letter today. I read it and emailed him, thank you, but I'm not that good. Those kind words were really exceptional, and I'm very deeply moved by that. I can't tell you how proud I am to be selected as the superintendent of the Lowell Police Department. This truly is a dream come true for me, and I believe I'm up to the task. I want to work hard. I want to make this city better. I love this city. I always have. I've been proud of this city, and I think this city is a great, great place to work, to live, and I have many challenges ahead, but I believe I can meet those challenges. I have to just convey a quick story to you today. I received a call from the Deputy Chief of the Manchester, New Hampshire Police Department. His name is Mark Lucier, and he said to me, the aldermen are always after us up here in Manchester. Can you find out what they're doing in Lowell? Can you go down to Lowell and check out how they do the police work down there, how they do have these substations, how they do community policing, how they reach out to the community? Can you find out, and quite constantly, obviously this is a compliment for the city of Lowell, a compliment for the police department. And I was very proud to accommodate him and tell him that we'd love to have you come down to a CompStat meeting. We'll show you around the city, and we'll give you some ideas and some thoughts. But even more importantly, he came to Lowell this past weekend. He came to look at UMass Lowell as a potential graduate school for his daughter. And he was very impressed with the city and very impressed in how clean the city was. He said he drove by a substation. He couldn't remember the name, but it began with P. And I told him that was Pawtuckaville, and he said that's correct. It was Pawtuckaville. And he was very, very impressed with how clean the city was and how nice the city looked. And I think sometimes, unfortunately, the perception is not the reality. And he came from Manchester, came to Lowell, and I think he was quite impressed with what he saw. And he'll be here in a few weeks, and we'll be giving him a complete tour of the city and all the facilities. I am also very deeply thankful to all of you for the support you've given me, the support you've given the Lowell Police Department. The votes you've taken on this council floor exemplifies the type of support we need to do proper law enforcement in this city. Votes in terms of the indemnification, votes in terms of the 911 center that we're going to have soon, and many other votes. The political structure of this city supports law enforcement. And because of that, I believe we have a very effective police department, and we are effectively able to reach out to other agencies and ask them to assist us with the issues in Lowell, and they are very, very willing to help us do that. So I'm not going to take much more of your time. I just want to express my appreciation to all of you, the city manager and the mayor, for your support, your kind words. I believe we have a great police department. We have a lot of work ahead of us, many challenges, but I think we can meet those challenges, and I look forward to hopefully having a swearing-in ceremony, as the manager said, late October, early November in one of the schools, and then having an event following that. So thank you very much, and I appreciate your support. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, Superintendent LaValle, I know I speak for all of us when I say you've really earned our confidence in your service as interim superintendent, and we have great hope for the future with what you're going to do with the police department. Thanks and congratulations. Okay. Next on the agenda, we have other communications from the city manager. Any questions or comments in response to any of those communications? Okay. Councilor Caulfield.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to thank the manager for addressing those two motions I brought forward on the sidewalks, by the Whistler House and by St. Margaret's Church. I really want to thank you for the expedient way you addressed us. Thank you.
Councilor Elliott.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to follow up on one of the motions made from the Environmental Subcommittee. We did receive a communication back for a recommendation to propose a Green Building Commission, and just wanted to let folks know that we're scheduling a meeting for next Tuesday at 6 o'clock to take up this particular item. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Any other comments concerning communications from the city manager? Motion to accept and place on file by Councilor Milonazo, second by Councilor Armin Mercier. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Any
opposed? The communications are accepted, placed on file. Next item on the agenda is the approval of a constable bond for Giovanna Ramos, 172 Middle Street in Lowell. Any questions or comments on this item? Roll call.
Councilor Caulfield.
Yes.
Councilor Donahue.
Yes.
Councilor Elliott.
Yes.
Mayor Martin.
Yes.
Councilor Armin Mercier.
Yes.
Councilor Rita Mercier.
Yes.
Councilor Milonazo.
Yes.
Councilor Mendonça.
Yes.
Councilor Broderick.
Yes.
9 yeas.
9 yeas, the constable bond is approved. Next item is a vote authorizing the city manager on behalf of the city of Lowell to accept a gift from the Friends of Shed Park, $24,000 for the use by the Parks and Recreation Department. Motion to
Suspend.
Motion to suspend the first full reading with Councilor Rita Mercier, seconded by Councilor Broderick. All those in favor of waiving the first full reading say aye. Any opposed? The first full reading is waived. Second reading by title, a vote authorizing the city manager on behalf of the city of Lowell to accept a gift from the Friends of Shed Park of $24,000 for use by the Parks and Recreation Department. Is there anyone here from the Friends of Shed Park? Okay. Okay, any further comment?
Move to accept and
Motion to
authorize.
accept by
Thanks.
Councilor Armin Mercier, second by
Second.
Councilor Rita Mercier. Roll call, please.
Councilor Caulfield.
Yes.
Councilor Donahue.
Yes.
Councilor Elliott.
Yes.
Mayor Martin.
Yes.
Councilor Armin Mercier.
Yes.
Councilor Rita Mercier.
Yes.
Councilor Milonazo.
Yes.
Councilor Mendonça.
Yes.
Councilor Broderick.
Yes.
9 yeas.
9 yeas, the vote is accepted, and Mr. Manager, I know we have thanked this group in the past, but this level of support for the city's efforts at Shed Park continues to be extraordinary, and I think we should thank them both publicly here and privately with a letter of thanks. Okay, the next item is a vote authorizing the city manager to accept the proposal of Loon Hill Development, Inc. in the amount of $310,000 to purchase property located at 104 West Meadow Road, Lowell, and to execute all documents necessary to transfer the property. Whereas the city of Lowell is the owner of property at 104 West Meadow Road, Lowell, having acquired title thereof by tax title foreclosure August 24, 1938, recorded at Middlesex North Registry District Book 917, page 428. Whereas the city council of the city of Lowell on August 3rd, 2007 voted to declare property at 104 West Meadow Road surplus and offer the same for sale under the provisions of Mass General Laws, Chapter 30B, with a minimum proposal price of $230,000. And whereas the city of Lowell issued requests for proposals for the sale of 104 West Meadow Road with certain conditions therein, whereas Loon Hill Development, Inc. did submit a proposal to the city of Lowell containing a minimum proposed price of $310,000 for the purchase of the property, and whereas the exact boundaries of the parcel to be conveyed are to be determined upon preparation of a subdivision plan by the selected proposer, and whereas the city manager has recommended to the city council the city accept the proposal, enter into a purchase and sale and access agreement with Loon Hill Development, Inc. Now therefore be it voted that the city manager and/or city treasurer be and hereby authorized in the name of the City of Lowell to accept the proposal and enter into a purchase and sale and access agreement with Loon Hill Development, Inc. for property at 104 West Meadow Road, Lowell, for the sum of $310,000, and be further voted that upon the completion of the subdivision plan, a further vote will be taken to authorize conveyance of the property. Second reading by title, a vote authorizing the city manager to accept the proposal of Loon Hill Development, Inc. in the amount of $310,000 to purchase property located at 104 West Meadow Road and to execute all documents necessary for the transfer of the property. Questions on this item? Councilor Milanazzo?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to the city manager. First of all, I think it's a good proposal. I'm happy to see that the abutters had a say or weighed in on the proposal. My question has to do with the conservation land and the status of the transfer to, I believe it was going to be the Conservation Trust. I'm just curious as to the status of that transfer.
Councilor, I think we were waiting for this actual sale to take place, and then we'll separate that out and make the necessary votes for transferring that to with the permanent restrictions.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Donza?
Yes, in the letter to you from Mr. Coggins, in the final recommendation in the last sentence, there's something about installation of sewer lines.
Correct.
And maybe just because I'm new to the council, but I wasn't aware of such a project, so I don't know if you could provide that either now or later to the council.
I'd be happy to address that now. When we discussed the disposition of this property, one of the issues raised was the need for sewer lines at Rita and Jeanne d'Arc roads. And I made the commitment at that time that we would move forward to, there's been problems out there in the past, we would move forward to install those as a result of this project. It was included in the request for proposals that that Rita would be done, but Jeanne d'Arc would something that we would have to do beyond that. So that's where the idea would be to move forward with this sale, put that, as required by law, put this money into a fund of sale of property, at which time we would come back to the council and transfer the necessary amount out to do that work. In addition, we'll be coming back to the council with a request to transfer a certain portion of this money also out into a fund to fund the demolition of properties. We have a property over on Westford that needs to be demolished. Councilor Caulfield has spoken of on a couple of occasions that we need to find a source of funding for that, and I believe I provided the council with some information on that a couple of months ago, waiting for this money to be freed up. So this 310 will be put on into the fund reserved for appropriation, and then we'll go in and take those necessary funds out for the sewer work and for the demolition work.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Armin Mercier?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If I understand the memo, there'll be an extension of Rita Street to have access to that site, and it's going to include the installation of water and sewer lines as part of the project.
That's correct.
By the developer.
That's correct.
And Jeanne d'Arc Street would be at a later date.
By the city.
After the sale is done, be done by the city, and will come to the council for another vote.
That's
correct. All right? Thank you.
Councilor Caulfield?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to the manager. I believe members of the PCC, Pawtucket Citizens Council, also endorsed this. This is a good project.
Yes.
And I was at that meeting when they did that. Thank you.
Okay, any further discussion? Councilor Elliott?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As I look at the proposed site development plan, some of these lots are under 10,000 square feet, and it does say traditional two-family. One lot is, I see 12,000, another 10. How come there are it looks like three lots, one 8,500 square feet, another 8,300 square feet? How is that possible?
If I could...
Is it because there's additional land, and is that not buildable? Is that the conservation land that it says added to the lot?
If I could refer that to the Assistant DPD Director.
Yes, thank you. Good evening, councilors, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Manager. The zoning in that area is traditional single-family, which requires 7,000 square foot for a minimum lot size. And the typical lots on Rita Street that exist today are generally around that size on average. What's proposed by the developer here is actually larger lots than 7,000, considerably larger than the minimum in some cases, and definitely larger in all cases.
Okay, so this is not the SS, the standard or suburban single-family that requires 10,000, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Do we know what will be left over after the, I mean, naturally, looking at the memo, getting 310,000 is a positive thing, but after sewage and what will be the net gain from this project? Because I didn't support it to begin with, and because I didn't want to see any more development, quite frankly. In that section, it's congested and there's a lot of problems to begin with. But you know, it is a city-owned piece of property, and we are disposing of it. But what would be the net gain, if I understand correctly, that we have to install sewage on Shundock Street at the city's expense?
That would be the 75,000, so that would be the,
So the
the
net-
310 minus
the
75, 235.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Mr. Manager.
Okay. Further discussion on this vote? Okay. Roll call.
Counselor Caulfield?
Yes.
Counselor Donahue?
Yes.
Counselor Elliott?
Yes.
Mayor Martin?
Yes.
Counselor Arman Mercia?
Yes.
Counselor Rita Mercia?
Yes.
Counselor Milonazo?
Yes.
Counselor Mendonça?
Yes.
Counselor Broderick?
Yes.
9 yeas.
Okay, we move to the public hearings now. The public hearing we have on tonight is for a vote accepting the provisions of Section 5K of Chapter 59 of Massachusetts General Laws regarding a program for reduction in real property tax obligations for persons over age 60 in exchange for volunteer services. We'll open the public hearing for those wishing to speak in favor. Anybody wishing to speak in favor? Anybody wishing to speak in favor of this item?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, ladies and gentlemen of the council. My name is Patrick O'Connor. I live in the city of Lowell, 38 Fourth Street. Anytime an individual can get any kind of break on their taxes, I'll tell you, I'm 100% in favor of that. And I know that this is for voluntary positions, and I understand how it works. I happen to read the law on that, and it's very interesting for people, how it would work out. I have some questions, however, on some things that, you know, it's my understanding under the law that the city or town will actually set up the criteria for the way this program will work and how we will pick people, and I'm just curious if somebody can help me along with that and how that will work, who we will pick for this, how they will be decided. As far as, we have a number of boards in the city with non-stipend board members. If an individual is over 60 years old and served on a board without pay, would he be considered, or she be considered, a volunteer or eligible to be a volunteer? It's just questions that I'm asked, and I think they're good questions to ask. The law also states that everybody in this program will be considered a public employee. And that goes to a point that really could be a hard thing, I think, with the way this city works. And as far as, would they be eligible for health insurance benefits as well, because of the way they work? Is that open to them? Are they eligible to be in the retirement system? You know, I mean, does that let them into the retirement system as well? Can they accrue years into that as well? And I'm just asking because if you're going to set up this criteria, you may be able to set that aside so people can't do that. I mean, we all know that our health and retirement system in this city alone is, in the world of bizarro, and costs the taxpayers a heck of a lot of money. And I don't know how it works on retirement base as far as unemployment and things like that. I'm just concerned about that word public employee is a tough little thing when it comes to government. And that was pretty much all the questions that I had, and I just wanted to know how it was going to work out. And just on a related tax message, if I may say this, do you think you could release the property tax bills before the election? Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else wishing to speak in favor? Anyone else in favor of this Ordinance? Okay, hearing none, that portion of the public hearing is closed. Anybody wishing to speak in opposition? Anybody wishing to speak in opposition? In opposition, hearing none, that portion of the public hearing is closed. Mr. Manager?
Mr. Mayor, if I could just give a little bit of background about this particular program and what you're being asked to vote on tonight, and also address some of the questions that were asked, and have Lynn Zunas here from the Council on Aging to talk about how the process would work in its entirety. This is a program that actually had its roots in the neighboring community that stole the idea from Littleton, Colorado. The notion being that we provide some property tax relief for some of our senior citizens that live in the city, and also give them an opportunity to contribute their skills on behalf of the city. The thought being that they have a lot to offer, and also that there may be some benefits that they could accrue in terms of dealing with rising property taxes. Initially, this program was not widely accepted by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, but they subsequently decided that it did make sense after about probably 100 communities jumped on the bandwagon and took advantage of it. It has been very popular. It has been very successful. It's actually been in place here in the city of Lowell for a period of time, but not extremely successful. Last spring, when we presented the budget to the City Council, and certainly last winter when we were dealing with some of our budget issues, I had indicated that we were exploring different property tax relief programs that may be able to be put in place for some of our citizens of limited means, and particularly for our senior citizens. And we started exploring a number of different options that were available to us, and trying to provide additional assistance to people just by way of information, if not necessarily programs. But certainly this program was out there, one that we saw as having potential and wasn't being fully utilized. Councilor Milanazzo actually filed a motion several weeks ago looking for more information about this program, so it was well timed that we were just about ready to put forward the acceptance of this statute so that we could make the necessary changes to make the program much more viable and much more try to get a higher rate of utilization. So we're very proud of our opportunity to put this before you tonight. If I could just address a couple of the questions. People that are appointed to boards and commissions would not be eligible for this program. This is specifically geared towards the rank and file citizens of the city that would meet the necessary criteria, and that would then spend a certain number of hours out providing services within the departments and different organizations within the city. They are public employees by statute, but they would not be eligible for unemployment once it's over. They were just temporary employees. They would not be eligible for health insurance. They don't meet the statutory requirement of the number of hours necessary to be eligible for health insurance. They would simply be part-time, temporary employees, and likewise, they would not be eligible for any retirement benefits. So that would, I think, would address most of the questions that were raised. As to how the process would work, I guess I would ask Ms. Zunas if she could just walk through the criteria that we'd be utilizing in establishing eligibility, and then the procedure for people that want to participate in this program of how they would then take advantage of it. With the caveat being that we need to find the necessary number of slots within the departments to actually move some of these people into to provide services.
Thank you, Mr. Manager, Mr. Mayor, and City Councilors. This program has been in existence for quite some time in Lowell, and it's been a partnership between the Assessor's Office and the Council on Aging. And the Council on Aging, being the person who does the interviewing, accepts the applications, and establishes the criteria, and then forwards that application on to the Assessor's Office, would provide a placement within the city. So we've been working together for this for quite some time, but it seems to the barrier to placing people has been the income guidelines. We have not accepted the new laws with this updated version. Many of the cities and towns have. What this would do is eliminate the income guidelines, decrease the age from 65 to 60, and increase the tax abatement from $500 to $750. So what our role at the Council on Aging would be to do the applications, recruitment of seniors, and then placement of seniors. This would be a partnership within the other departments in the city to identify where these slots could be met. We would be in the recruitment person for that, still working in partnership with the assessor's office. We will look at this step after we get this vote, which I hope we will. Then we'll look at the policy and guidelines and procedures and then put that package together for the community to know exactly how to go about doing this. There still will be an asset limit. You know, your own home won't be included in that, but there'll still be an asset limit. There will still be some criteria established. We may put a priority on it, that the priority slot goes to the lowest of senior that is applied. They have to work 100 hours within a certain period of time within the city. The other step of that would be to, you know, make sure that they have a purposeful and meaningful opportunity to serve. You know, that their skills and talents are being met, and we're not sitting them in a corner necessarily stuffing envelopes, but these are skilled people with certain talents that have a gift to offer the community of Lowell. So we'll go forward and establish some guidelines, working still in partnership with the assessor's office, but I think this is a great opportunity for seniors in the city of Lowell, and I look forward to working with them, recruitment, recognition, placement, and retention of these seniors as they can get a tax break in their tax bills. Be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any question or comment? Councilor Rita Mercier?
Having said that, move approval.
Second.
All right, motion approved by Councilor Rita Mercier, second by Councilor Elliott. Councilor Milonazo?
If I could, Mr. Mayor, I appreciate the city manager bringing this back forward, and just to say that there are people out there that are waiting for this to happen. When we were at the Centerville neighborhood meeting last week, there were a couple of residents there that were asking the status, so I'm happy, and I hope that the council endorses this evening so that you can get on with the program and begin working with Lynn and recruiting seniors to participate, because there are people who are interested.
Councilor, by Council Rule 28, adoption of these local option provisions, usually by rule, means item gets sent to the clerk's office for a week and then voted.
Motion to suspend.
There is opportunity. So Councilor Elliott moves to suspend Rule 28 to entertain the vote tonight.
Second.
Second by Councilor Armin Mercier. Roll call. Well, we need a roll call on the motion.
Roll call on the suspension.
All right, so all those in favor of suspending the rule say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, the rule is suspended. So roll call on the actual vote.
Councilor Caulfield?
Yes.
Councilor Donahue?
Yes.
Councilor Elliott?
Yes.
Mayor Martin?
Yes.
Councilor Armin Mercier?
Yes.
Councilor Rita Mercier?
Yes.
Councilor Milonazo?
Yes.
Councilor Mendonça?
Yes.
Councilor Broderick?
Yes.
9 yeas.
9 yeas, the item is approved. The next item is an ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances, City of Lowell, Massachusetts, with respect to Chapter 13 thereof entitled Motor Vehicles and Traffic. This is the quarterly traffic ordinance, which gets referred to a public hearing on October 9th. Motion to refer this matter to a public hearing on October 9th by Councilor Milonazo, seconded by Councilor Broderick. Any discussion on that? All those in favor of referring this matter to a public hearing on October 9th, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The matter is referred to a public hearing on October 9th. The next item is a vote accepting the provisions of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 41, Section 100G, and a quarter regarding payment of funeral and burial expenses for firefighters and police officers killed in the performance of duty. A motion to suspend, to waive the first full reading by Councilor Donahue, seconded by Councilor Caulfield. All those in favor of waiving the first full reading say aye. Any opposed? The first full reading is waived. Second reading by title. A vote accepting the provisions of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 41, Section 100G, and one quarter regarding the payment of funeral and burial expenses for firefighters and police officers killed in the performance of duty. Again, this item also, Rule 28 applies to this, so to consider this tonight, we would also need a motion to suspend Rule 28. So moved by Councilor Donahue, second by Councilor Caulfield. All those in favor of suspending Rule 28, say aye. Any opposed? The rule is suspended, and we may consider voting on this provision this evening. Councilor Rita Mercier.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have no problem supporting this vote. In fact, I find it so important that I feel we should include everyone in the city that dies in the line of duty. I know that public safety personnel come in contact with more opportunities to face greater danger. However, a loss is a loss and cannot be distinguished from one loss being greater than another. Therefore, I would like to create a similar legislation for all employees who die in the line of duty? What if a man battling a flood in Pawtucketville were a City of Lowell water utilities worker and took a seizure while on duty from the strenuous work and died? What if a DPW tree cutter, while removing a limb on D Street, got stung by a bee and died? What if a teacher broke up a fight in a schoolyard and got kicked in the stomach and later he or she died from her or his wounds? Would you say they died in the line of duty? Yet their lives are not less important than anyone else, but no laws are on the books to protect their families should they die in the line of duty. I say let's inquire and ask our state legislators to create a similar bill to include all city workers who die in the line of duty while at work for the city. Let each town or city adopt the legislation or not adopt it. I feel Lowell should. Therefore, after this vote this evening, I would be highly in favor and ask your permission to suspend the rules to bring in a motion. I'm not bringing it in now. I know this is something entirely different. And if you think maybe there's a cost associated with it, well, let's hope that we never have to utilize this legislation. Let's hope that nobody has to die in the line of duty. I'm not looking at a cost factor here. I know that we're doing this because the state legislators did up the burial cost from $5,000 to $15,000, and that's a good thing. And I'm not saying that one person is better than the other, but I am in support of this. But I'd just like to take it a step further and include everyone in the city, and that's where I stand with that.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion on this item? Okay, roll call.
Councilor Caulfield.
Yes.
Councilor Donahue.
Yes.
Councilor Elliott.
Yes.
Mayor Martin.
Yes.
Councilor Armin Mercia.
Yes.
Councilor Rita Mercia.
Yes.
Councilor Milonazo.
Yes.
Councilor Mendonça.
Yes.
Councilor Broderick.
Yes.
9 yeas.
9 yeas, the state statute is adopted.
Mayor Martin, if I
Councilor-
could, I believe that members from the Friends of Shed Park.
No, they're with me.
There we go. All right, never mind, sorry.
If I could just
Councilor
suspend...
Rita Mercia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If I could just suspend the rules and bring in a motion with what I said previously to inquire if the city could request to file similar legislation for all city employees regarding funeral and burial expenses who die in the line of duty with the city.
Okay, motion to suspend the rules to consider that proposal. Any objection to that? All those in favor of suspending the rules for that purpose, say aye. Any opposed? The rules are suspended. So Councilor Rita Mercia's motion to inquire about home rule legislation for
Yes.
all city employees. Is there a
Who
second?
die in the line of duty.
Second,
Well,
I
By-
don't understand it.
Councilor Armin
I
Mercia.
would like, I'm going to support the motion, but I would prefer it to be sent to the city manager to do an evaluation of what that all means, what's the criteria going to be, and, you know, not just send it in without some in-depth information on what it means for the city and for
I
everybody.
thought the motion
agree.
was to inquire, not...
It is, that's what
Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
asking
All right,
for.
Fine.
I'm asking to inquire, and I did discuss this with the law department today.
Okay.
If we could just inquire if it could be possible. I'm not saying we have to do it, but I'm inquiring, why can't we do it? What makes someone's life more or less important than somebody else's when they die in the line of duty in the city? If they get stung by a bee while up cutting a tree limb, well, they're still a member of the city, and they're still entitled, I would think, to burial expense, just like anybody else.
Okay, so motion's made and seconded. Any further discussion?
Mr. Mayor.
Councilor Donahue?
So it's inquiring of the manager to give a report?
Yes.
All right,
Is that who you
because
wanted?
obviously
Yeah,
it's
I'm
state
asking.
law that we're taking action on right now, and so, I mean, it really doesn't matter what you say. It's what the state legislation, I mean, no offense, but, so, I just, yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting, I guess, to know what the cost analysis is. However, unless there's state law that would permit it, maybe the inquiry should go to the state delegation as to whether there's legislation, whether they intend to file legislation.
maybe that can be part of your report.
Well,
Mr. Manager?
if I may, Counselor, I think that, I think it would be difficult to do a cost analysis. I mean, who would ever, I mean, I'm sure there's an actuary out there who could tell us what the chances are for something like this. But the bottom line is there's nothing in statute for anything other than police and fire. There never has been. And certainly that I'm aware of. We can do some legal research to determine if there's anything for non-public safety employees. But I think you're correct. This would require the state delegation really to weigh in as to whether they feel it's appropriate.
So maybe the inquiry can go to the delegation, and they can come back whether they intend to either amend that statute or.
Right. Councilor Caulfield?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I agree wholeheartedly with my colleague, Councilor Donahue, that first of all, it has to be special legislation to make this happen at the State House. And I think if the manager researches that, get some feedback, then come back with an answer.
Thank you. Councilor Rita Mercier?
I know that it's special legislation. I'm not saying we're going to do it personally as city councilors. It has to come from the state. I'm asking the manager to inquire about that. This is where we're going with it. And what do we mean by cost analysis? I mean, hopefully nobody ever has to use it. I don't know how many people are dying on the line of duty in the DPW department, so I'm not saying that we're going to break the state here. So I don't know what the cost analysis means in this respect.
Councilor Caulfield?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, I think you have to set a precedence to see how many communities in the state that they have this program, this offer, and let the low delegation confer with Manager Lynch. And
there's a lot of things that go before the state legislator, and cities and towns either adopt it or they don't. I don't care if 350 do not adopt it. Maybe we can. That's my reasoning here.
All right. Anything further on this? So the report is going to the manager and to inquire of the state legislature, is that?
Right, that's right.
All right. All those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion is approved. Okay, the next item is in order pursuant to Chapter 13 of the Code of Ordinances, City of Lowell, Massachusetts, concerning Section 13-6 thereof, entitled Temporary Experimental Regulations. Temporary traffic regulations are hereby implemented for a period of 60 days. This matter concerns traffic controls at D Street and Boynton Street. Is there a motion to waive the full reading by Councilor Milonazo, second by Councilor Elliott? All those in favor of waiving the first full reading say aye. Any opposed? The first full reading is waived. Second reading by title, in order pursuant to Chapter 13 of the Code of Ordinances, City of Lowell, Massachusetts, concerning Section 13-6 thereof, entitled Temporary Experimental Regulations. Temporary traffic regulations are hereby implemented for a period of 60 days. Any questions or discussion on this? Roll call.
Councilor Caulfield?
Yes.
Councilor Donahue?
Yes.
Councilor Elliott?
Yes.
Mayor Martin?
Yes.
Councilor Armin Mercia?
Yes.
Councilor Rita Mercia?
Yes.
Councilor Milonazo?
Yes.
Councilor Mendonça?
Yes.
Councilor Broderick?
Yes.
9 yeas.
9 yeas, the order is approved. The next item is a loan order to rescind excess debt authorizations totaling $935,000 from Songus Arena Ice Resurfacing Loan Order. It is ordered by the City Council of Lowell by a 2/3 vote as follows. Ordered that the following excess borrowing authorization is hereby rescinded. The amount rescinded is $935,000. The original authorization was $1 million. The purpose was for the Songus Ice Surfacing System, and the order was originally adopted January 23rd, 2007. This order is recommended, introduced by Bernard F. Lynch, City Manager. Second reading by title, a loan order to rescind excess debt authorization totaling $935,000 from the Songus Arena Ice Resurfacing Loan Order. Councilor Donahue.
Thank you. So the $65,000, was that to do the temporary repairs, or?
It was a combination of doing the temporary repairs and the necessary engineering work that we did that led up to the bidding of the project, and some engineering work we did after, once we made the determination that we weren't going to.
So we had to borrow that?
Yes.
Okay.
hopefully it, the money that we spent on that will be able to be used, the engineering work will be able to be used in the future, the distant future, hopefully, to do the ice work that will need to be done at some point in time.
Okay, thank you.
Councilor Armin Mercia.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor, the $65,000 is spent. Does that come with any type of guarantee or how long this ice now will be okay? None.
No.
So we could have this problem a year from now? Or is there some sort of estimate?
In all likelihood, I think we're going to find that as we went through this work, and it is unfortunate that this wasn't sort of discovered or looked at earlier in the process, very frankly. Yeah. But it's going to, I think what we're going to find is that in the upcoming years, there are going to be repairs that are going to be needed. You're going to have sections of pipe that are going to need to be replaced, and it's just going to be a part of an ongoing maintenance program. What we did find when we did the research was that it's not that unusual for every arena to have some type of work like this that's needed. It's when it becomes it's such a so many repairs needed that you have to replace the whole system. And but there isn't any warranty work on the sections that were replaced. No, those are just certainly they could have problems in the near future again, depending upon the amount of corrosion that may take place.
So there's a possibility that when this needs to be done in the future, it could be done by UMass Lowell instead of the City of Lowell, depending on what happens with the subcommittee.
I suppose that's a possibility.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any, Councilor Elliott?
Thank you, through you to the manager, the CFO. So we spent the $65,000, we've paid our contractor. Is this a 10-year note, 15-year note? Is this going to go out with other bond authorizations?
I believe this would probably, I'll let Tom see if it would probably be 20 years.
20 years, so we're going to couple this with some other authorization that we go out. So we're not paying for this now. I just want to make that clear.
That is correct.
Because sometimes we do couple them with other projects, and then there are some authorizations like the garage that we do. We go out for the authorization because we know that the bid is in.
This will be folded in with a larger borrowing down the road. Yes.
Okay, any further discussion on this vote? Roll call.
Councilor Caulfield?
Yes.
Councilor Donahue?
Yes.
Councilor Elliott?
Yes.
Mayor Martin?
Yes.
Councilor Armin Mercia?
Yes.
Councilor Rita Mercia?
Yes.
Councilor Milonazo?
Yes.
Councilor Mendoza?
Yes.
Councilor Broderick?
Yes.
9 yeas.
9 yeas, the vote is approved. The next item is a vote authorizing Ilana Ma to assign its lease agreement with the city for 4 parking spaces in the Leroy Street Municipal Parking Lot to Don Niff. So motion to waive the first full reading by Councilor Broderick, second by Councilor Elliott. All those in favor of waiving the first full reading say aye. Any opposed? The first full reading is waived. Second reading by title. A vote authorizing Ilana Ma to assign its lease agreement with the city for 4 parking spaces in the Leroy Street Municipal Parking Lot to Don Niff. Any questions or discussion on this vote? Okay, roll call.
Councilor Caulfield?
Yes.
Councilor Donahue? Councilor
Yes.
Elliott?
Yes.
Mayor Martin?
Yes.
Councilor Armin Mercia?
Yes.
Councilor Rita Mercia?
Yes.
Councilor Milonazo?
Yes.
Councilor Mendoza?
Yes.
Councilor Broderick?
Yes.
9 yeas.
9 yeas, the vote is approved. The next item is an order of taking and acceptance of the Charent Road Extension and Perrin Way. The order to take by eminent domain in fee a certain parcel of land in the city of Lowell for municipal purposes, to wit, the layout and acceptance of Charent Road Extension and Perrin Way and other municipal purposes associated therewith. This item is to be referred to a public hearing on October 9th. Motion to so refer by Councilor Milonazo, second by Councilor Broderick. All those in favor of referring this matter to a public hearing on October 9th say aye. Any opposed? The matter is referred to a public hearing on October 9th. Next item is a vote authorizing the city manager to apply for, accept, and expend a grant in the amount of $50,000 through the Massachusetts Department of Conservation and Recreation Recreational Trails Grant Program for the Concord River Greenway Phase 1 and 2 construction in the city of Lowell. Any Motion to waive the first full reading on this by Councilor Caulfield, second by Councilor Broderick. All those in favor of waiving the first full reading say aye. Any opposed? The first full reading is waived. Second reading by title, a vote authorizing the city manager to apply for, accept, and expend a grant in the amount of $50,000 through the Massachusetts Department of Conservation and Recreation Recreational Trails Grant Program for the Concord River Greenway Phase 1 and 2 construction in the city of Lowell. Any discussion on this item? Councilor Milonazo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through you to the city manager. Have we identified our, what is it, a $10,000 match, a 20% match at this point?
We haven't identified it specifically. There are a number of different options we're looking at, including private monies that might be available that could be transferred over to the city in the form of a gift. Community development block grant money could potentially be utilized. So we're exploring all the different options that are out there.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Councilor Caulfield.
Yes.
Councilor Donahue.
Yes.
Councilor Elliott.
Yes.
Mayor Martin.
Yes.
Councilor Arman Mercia.
Yes.
Councilor Rita Mercia.
Yes.
Councilor Milonazo.
Yes.
Councilor Mendonça.
Yes.
Councilor Broderick.
Yes.
9 yeas.
9 yeas, the vote is approved. The next item is a vote authorizing the city manager acting through the Division of Planning and Development to apply for, accept, and expend a grant in the total amount of $450,000 from the Massachusetts Department of Conservation and Recreation for earmarked funds for the renovation of 9 city parks. Motion to waive the first full reading by Councilor Mendonça, second by Councilor Broderick. All those in favor of waiving the first full reading say aye. Any opposed? The first full reading is waived. Second reading by title, a vote authorizing the city manager acting through the Division of Planning and Development to apply for, accept, and expend a grant in the total amount of $450,000 from the Massachusetts Department of Conservation and Recreation for earmarked funds for the renovation of 9 city parks. Any discussion? Councilor Broderick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm obviously going to support this. I just, as a note aside, is that I got a call Saturday morning from a woman who was out walking over by Shed Park where they were cutting down trees and was quite alarmed. But she did search the website. If we could maybe put some type of update so that people know what's going on. Absolutely. They're clearing out trees over there for the softball field, but I know there were several others that were that I bumped into at other events that were concerned about it as well. That's all. But I obviously want to support this. I think it's great.
Mr. Manager?
Certainly, Councilor, we will we'll put something on the website to give people an update on what's happening at these various locations. And that came as somewhat of a surprise to me as well. I know that we were looking to move forward on a number of these projects during this portion of the construction season, but I wasn't aware myself that tree clearing had been started. This is, as you indicated, is a softball field that we'll be placing behind an existing Little League field. We will be leaving a row of trees that will provide a buffer to the neighborhood that's abutting that particular area. But I think that's a great idea. We're anxious to get this moving, but certainly I'm sure that there was some alarm when they started seeing trees starting to fall.
Thank you. Councilor Caulfield.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to thank the Lowell delegation. I know that they had something to do with this, and they are always bringing money into the city for renovations and grants and doing things that are just positive. So I want to thank the Lowell delegation for this.
Thank you, Councilor. Any, Mr. Manager?
Just along those lines, I would want to echo Councilor Caulfield's comments regarding the delegation. They've once again done an outstanding job of securing this money for us. We are planning as the vote indicates, there are 9 parks that are going to be affected by this. We are planning a public event for later in October to unveil the plans that will be taking place at all of these locations, and the councilors obviously will be notified of that as it comes forward.
Councilor Donahue.
Thank you. With regard to the Shed Park, are we still on target for having that completed, the playground and water park this fall, or?
We will have it. We will have it completed. The water park is a little bit later than we had hoped. We had hoped maybe having it done in mid-September, which certainly would have come in handy for the warm weather that we're having right now. Yeah. But we're looking now that probably have it completed by the end of October.
In the playground as well.
In fact, I think the playground will be done before the water park now. And again, we're hoping to have an event out there towards the latter part of October to unveil that project.
Okay. Thank you.
Just one other thing,
Councilor
Mr.
Caulfield.
Mayor. Is all that work going to be done in-house, Mr. Manager, by the Parks Department?
I believe most of it's being done in-house, a combination of parks and, public works employees, of course, in our scheme,
They
they're
do
all
an
sort of
excellent-
public works, but they are doing a
excellent
great job, and I believe most of it is being done in-house, yes.
Okay, any further? Roll call on the vote.
Councilor Caulfield.
Yes.
Councilor Donahue.
Yes.
Councilor Elliott.
Yes.
Mayor Martin.
Yes.
Councilor Arman Mercia.
Yes.
Councilor Rita Mercia.
Yes.
Councilor Milonazo.
Yes.
Councilor Mendoza.
Yes.
Councilor Broderick.
Yes.
9 yeas.
9 yeas, the vote is approved. Next item is a supplemental appropriation transfer in City Council in order to meet fixed charges and current expenses of the City of Lowell for the fiscal year 2008. It's ordered by the City Council of the City of Lowell as follows, that the amount of $25,000 is appropriated to Cemetery General Improvement Account, at $25,000, and in order to provide for such supplemental appropriation transfer, the above amount is hereby transferred for said purpose from the Cemetery Department Sale of Lots Fund in the amount of $25,000. The transfer of $25,000 from the Sale of Lots Fund is to repair a retaining wall at the School Street Cemetery. Second reading by title, a supplemental appropriation transfer in City Council in order to meet fixed charges and current expenses of the City of Lowell for the fiscal year 2008. Questions about this item? Roll call.
Councilor Caulfield.
Yes.
Councilor Donahue.
Yes.
Councilor Elliott.
Yes.
Mayor Martin.
Yes.
Councilor Arman Mercia.
Yes.
Councilor Rita Mercia.
Yes.
Councilor Milonazo.
Yes.
Councilor Mendoza.
Yes.
Councilor Broderick.
Yes.
9 yeas.
9 yeas, the vote is approved. Subcommittee reports. Councilor Milonazo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Economic Development Subcommittee met last evening to deal with the vote that was referred to the committee having to do with the authorization, the filing of legislation to permit Lowell to enter into long-term leases for the retail space in the Middlesex Street parking garage. In attendance, myself, Councilor Eileen Donahue, Councilor Arman Mercia, along with representatives from the EDGE Group, Fred Faust and Joanne Souza. As you know, the EDGE Group has been retained by the city to help us lease up the retail space in the new garage. Also, Matt Coggins from the Planning and Development Office, as well as Adam Backey, were in attendance, and Karen Bell, who's a property owner along Middlesex Street. We had a very good, sometimes what I would call a frank discussion of the vote before us, and we actually did vote to support the filing of this legislation. It was a 3-0 vote, but we do want to make sure, and as part of my report, that we do have the proper controls in place so that the city would come back to the council with the lease if it was beyond, I believe it was a 10-year period, up to the 20-year period. We do have some information on our desk this evening from the EDGE Group, which gives us an outline of some of the companies that they are talking to, and you can actually see that they're looking at 5-year leases with, in some cases, 3 5-year options, which would bring us, in that particular case, up to 15 years, which is why it's important if a tenant is going to invest, say, $200,000 in fit-up, that they have the ability to stay in the space longer than 10 years. And as I noted when this was before us last time, as a banker, I would want to see that there is the appropriate protection in order to amortize a tenant improvement loan, in order to make sure that that the tenant, if you will, is going to be in that location for more than, say, 5 or 10 years. So, again, the Economic Development Subcommittee is recommending to the full council to approve the filing of this legislation with the stipulation that we maintain control over the leases going forward, and they would come back to the full council for approval. So that is a report of progress from the subcommittee. I don't know if any of the members have anything they'd like to add, but again, I would, depending upon what the other committee members want to do, I would move that we support the legislation as presented by the administration.
Second.
Okay, so it's a motion to adopt the vote that was referred to the subcommittee by
Correct.
Councilor Milonazo, second by Councilor Armin Mercier. Councilor Donahue.
Thank you. You know, as we had discussed both last night and a little bit at the last meeting when it was referred, one of the concerns certainly that I have is a 20-year lease or something that amounts to a 20-year lease. That's an awfully long lease for the city to get into. You know, we were assured that that's not the rule, but it would be, as I understood it, the exception. In other words, the legislation that's being filed is giving the city the ability to negotiate, but that doesn't mean that it's not coming back to this council. And this council should maintain controls over those kinds of leases. This is one of the most expensive, I think it is the most expensive building the city has built. Over $24 million that we've spent all city money on. We built the arena, but we only put up $4 million. We built the ballpark, we only put up a few million. And we know the schools that we built, we got 90% reimbursement on. And so this is an extraordinarily expensive endeavor for the city. And, you know, I think the city has to be very careful. And I was encouraged to hear that the city recognizes that this is, you know, it's important for economic development that the proper retail or commercial, you know, entities go in that space. That they are a catalyst for economic development. That's going to be absolutely critical. And also that the city has flexibility. And so what's in the best interest of a tenant may certainly not be in the interest of the city. So at any rate, after the discussion, you know, I was encouraged that this will be continue to be monitored and discussed with the council. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Further comments on this, Councilor Mendonça?
Just to clarify to the chair of the subcommittee, so that we're asking for legislation that would allow us to negotiate such a lease, but that lease would still have to come before the council for approval before it would take effect.
Right. The vote is a vote authorizing the filing of legislation which authorizes the City of Lowell to enter into long-term leases for the retail parking spaces in the Middlesex Street parking garage. The vote would authorize a lease longer than 5 years, but that lease would still have to come back here for approval. Okay. Any further discussion on this? So roll call on the motion to adopt the vote upon the recommendation of the subcommittee.
Councilor Caulfield.
Yes.
Councilor Donahue.
Yes.
Councilor Elliott.
Yes.
Mayor Martin.
Yes.
Councilor Armin Mercier.
Yes.
Councilor Rita Mercier.
Yes.
Councilor Milonazo.
Yes.
Councilor Mendonça.
Yes.
Councilor Broderick.
Yes.
9 yeas.
9 yeas, the vote is approved. Other subcommittee reports? Are there any other subcommittee reports? Okay, we have several petitions. We have a petition of Diane Corbin regarding parking spaces at 148 Warren Street. I believe this item should be referred to the traffic engineer. Motion so moved by Councilor Milonazo, second by Councilor Broderick. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? That matter is referred to the traffic engineer, I'm sorry. We have a motion regarding a handicap parking sign, relocation from Central Street to Broadway. This matter is to be referred to the city manager and solicitor. So moved by Councilor Broderick, second by Councilor Milonazo. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? That matter is referred to the manager and solicitor. We have a petition from Attorney Flood concerning the acceptance of public streets. That matter also gets referred to the city manager and city solicitor. All those in motion to so refer by Councilor Broderick, seconded by Councilor Mendonça. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? That matter is referred to the manager and city solicitor. We have a petition for a handicap sign at 22 Merrill Street. A motion to refer that. Councilor Rita Mercier.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd just like to suspend the rules and amend that particular motion by that petitioner to be a 60-day trial for the handicap sign. The family called and requested that I do that. The clerk referred them to a city councilor, and the petitioner referred it to me. So if I could just suspend the rules and amend the motion to be a 60-day trial for the handicap
So
sign.
motion to suspend the rules and entertain this petition and make it a 60-day trial. Second by Councilor Broderick. All those in favor of that motion say aye. Any opposed? So this will be adopted as a 60-day trial. The next petition by Attorney Flood concerning 308 Westford Street. I think we already acted on that this evening. Is that a different one? Okay, so this one is all to be referred to the city manager and city solicitor. Motion to so refer by Councilor Armin Mercia, second by Councilor Broderick. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Matter is referred to the manager and solicitor. And finally, we have petitions for pole location on Rogers Street by National Grid and on Middlesex Street for a conduit by Verizon. Those matters to be referred to a public hearing on October 9th. So moved by Councilor Broderick, seconded by Councilor Mendonça. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Those matters are referred to a public hearing on October 9th. And we have one claim to be referred to the Law Department. So moved by Councilor Broderick, seconded by Councilor Milanazzo. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? That matter is referred to the Law Department. I believe that covers all of the petitions and the one claim. So that brings us to the motions. The first motion is by Councilor Rita Mercier for the City Council to request the city manager have the proper department make safe the playground at the Pine School. Second by Councilor Caulfield. Councilor Rita Mercier.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It has come to my attention from numerous parents who happen to be here this evening. They're parents of children at the Pine Arts School, and they alerted me that a safety issue exists for children when they are playing in their designated area outside, such as what happened on Thursday, September 13th, at recess, while the AM pre-K children were outside. A vehicle drove through the playground at such a high rate of speed that the license plate of the vehicle could not be retrieved. The Pine Arts School is situated near an access road that connects Shed Park to Stratham Park via the playground that is used during regular school hours. There is a posted "Do Not Enter" sign, but it does not deter drivers from taking the shortcut, as has been witnessed by teachers and parents many, many times before. It is unacceptable that vehicles are able to drive on school grounds during regular school hours and put children in harm's way. It appears that this issue has been raised and addressed many, many times by many different levels, but the fact remains that no viable plan has been implemented. I need an end to the parents' fears. I need a final solution to this troubling problem, and I believe that we would request a swinging or a rolling gates placed on either end of the access road that will be locked during school hours. I need this simple solution completed before we go to a funeral of a child, and I need it done now, Mr. Manager. Call it maintenance of effort, call it preventative maintenance, but do it now before we call it an unnecessary tragedy. And having said that, I know that the parents are up in arms, so much so that they're not going to just let this motion rest with me, that they took this issue further and called everybody in the city that they possibly could. And I know through you, Mr. Manager, that there are plans in the works. And there is a mother here registered to speak. I know that it's protocol that she should have spoke before me, but I was just segueing in to the things that were done because of the persistence of women. And, you know, you can't put the good woman down. They're going to make sure. And we could have just said, the motion speaks for itself. It has been addressed, but I think we want to address it further to make sure that it's on record. And I have two of the parents' letters that I'd like to submit as part of the record this evening, to say that, you know, we're promising you that we're going to do everything that we can, that barrels have been put there, although they were supposed to be weighted down barrels. They're not weighted down. They're there, but I don't want that to be the final solution. And I know that measurements are in place to see that we can put a gate there, but I don't want 2 weeks to turn into 2 months, and then, you know what, we're going to be, it's been addressed, but we haven't got a final solution. So I know you want to talk, Mr. Manager, but I don't know, do we want the parent to talk as well?
Should we just have your name and address, please?
Paula McInerney, 132 Hoyt Avenue, Lowell. I actually spoke to TJ McCarthy this morning for probably, hopefully, the last time. I'd like to thank Mr. Assistant City Manager, Mr. Sheehan. He has kept me informed all the way through this entire process better than anybody else at this point. So thank you. TJ called me this morning and did explain that the bid process is no longer going to take effect. We were concerned when we heard on Monday that it's going out to bid. Out to bid could take months. That concerned us because the children are still at risk as well as the staff. So we were told this morning that it's no longer out to bid. It's been taken off the out to bid state agenda and that it's in process. The gates are being ordered. They have been measured. TJ's words this morning were it should go in within 2 weeks or maybe a little longer. We would prefer it to be done tomorrow. However, it can't be. The barrels are in. They are not weighted down. TJ explained they will fill those somewhere. They said today, but they weren't tonight. So we're just here to try and keep it to the forefront to make sure that everybody understands that the children are trying to dodge cars while they're playing on the playground, and it never should have happened in the first place. So thank you again for listening to us, and thank you to Rita for bringing it before the board.
Okay. Thank you for coming down this evening. Mr. Manager.
Well, thank you. As has already been mentioned, the particular incident occurred on the 13th of September. We were notified on Ms. McInerney notified us on the 14th in that morning, and I'm very happy that reference was made to the work that Mr. Sheehan's done on this. On the 17th, we had the barrels out there, so the very next school day that they were out there. We have moved quickly to, and I think Councilor Mercy has indicated, and certainly the parents have indicated, this is a very serious issue, and frankly, it clearly has gone on too long. And so we have moved quickly to work with the school department and the fire department. Obviously, there's fire department issues there with regards to access. But we have already placed an order for the fence. It has to be fabricated. It isn't something that's just off the shelf. We expect that will be completed within 2 weeks in order to get that material, the gate in, and have the necessary construction work. And so we will stay on top of it to make sure that we hit that target or the target date or very close to that. But in the meantime, those barrels will stay. They will be weighted down. We'll make sure of that, and we'll make sure that the playground is a safe place for the children.
Weighting them down would make a big difference, because right now you just knock them over, and say somebody's inebriated, and they're just going to crash them right out of the way and go right off the grid. So if they're weighted, they might still crash through them, but maybe it'll take a little more effort.
We will have that done as well.
Okay.
All right, ladies.
Thank you.
Good for you.
Any further discussion on this item? All right, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is approved, and we thank you for your efforts in being persistent on this. Thanks for coming this evening. Next motion is by Councilor Caulfield. The City Council requests the City Manager report on the proposed expansion of the treatment facility on Rock Street. Second by Councilor Armin Mercier. Councilor Caulfield.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I'm not going to belabor this issue. Don't shoot the messenger. I'm bringing this forward for my neighbor who has rental property, residential property on Rock Street. And, Mr. Manager, if you could furnish the council with some information. I understand the police have been there at least 60 times since January 1st to the present time. That may be a conservative figure, I don't know. But they're going to expand that facility from 12 rooms to 24 rooms, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to expand the police as well. I would like to know, too, if the school department was ever involved on this issue. And once again, I'm representing my neighbor, and he would like some answers. So if you could furnish us with that report,
certainly, I
would appreciate it. And I talked to the solicitor earlier this evening. And if one wanted to build a liquor store near that site, they couldn't do it. But this facility is going to exist and expand, and it's 400 feet from the Stockloza Middle School. That's a problem I have. So if you could furnish us with that information, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Mr. Manager, if I could just add, this came up for discussion at the school committee meeting last week as well, and there's some concern from the school committee that the school committee didn't receive notice of the permitting process here, whether they were entitled to permitting process, notice of the permitting process. So they the school committee voted to make inquiry of the solicitor's office as well concerning what their rights and remedies and obligations may be in this subject matter. So if that report could be furnished to the school department as well and the school committee members, I would appreciate that.
Okay.
Councilor Armin Mercia.
I would like to see if that part of that report would indicate to us whether or not this is done, or whether there's another permitting action that needs to be taken either by the planning board, site review, or whatever that case may be. That's a troubled site. Only need to read the records of the police department to see what kind of trouble site it is as it is. You add 12 more rooms to that, and you're going to just quadruple the trouble that's there. Now, everyone is concerned about the homeless. Everyone is concerned about less fortunate. However, there are certain places that it doesn't belong. And I think that one only needs to look at the police report, how many times they were called in. In fact, at one time, the DPD used the community block money to provide details for that, which I always felt was unheard of for the city to provide money for a detail to a facility or any kind of facility. So I would like to know if there's another area that they need to go to so the school department can be made aware of, and also a lot of people who were not aware that the court had sent this back to the Zoning Board of Appeals. So if we could have enough information to inform the general public, and particularly abutters and people in that area, what's going on and where can they voice their opinion on this. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Rita Mercia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's also my understanding that before the board, they were alerted to the fact that this council supported the project, and that's what my understanding was, that they were told that this council supported that.
I'm not aware of that, Councilor.
Well, that's what I'm hearing, and if that is in fact true, I don't recall this council supporting, going through a roll call for that. I didn't support it.
Councilor Broderick.
Thank you. Did we get something in writing from the court? Could we possibly get a copy of that? Does it address any of these issues in terms of, police reports and calls to the police? I would assume the court would have been addressed in court as well.
Right. If we could, we'll have the law department provide a full, and DPD provide a full report on all of these questions, including any court documents that go with that.
Councilor Elliott.
So, Mr. Manager, can you just give us a summary, and, for people watching at home, I mean, I think it was clear from this council that there were some serious concerns, excuse me, with any expansion at that facility. And initially it was denied, and it was appealed and to a higher level in the state level.
That's correct.
And they sent it back to the city.
Right. Essentially, that's it in a nutshell. They sent it back to the city, and with basically with the instructions that the city take the necessary steps under the statute to make the approvals. But I'll get a full report,
Okay.
Councilor, on that.
Is there anything that we can do? Was there anything that we could do, or we were being told by the state this is the way it is, and we have no choice? Or, I mean, I'll await the report, but
right.
I sort of would like to know right now why it took place that way.
Perhaps the solicitor's office would like to weigh in on this particular matter, but generally a facility like this is exempt from certain provisions of the statute.
I see.
Mr. Fenton? Do you have any?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Under Mass General Laws, Chapter 40, Section 3, a nonprofit organization seeking what is broadly defined as an educational institution, which includes what we commonly refer to as group home, can be located in any zoning district, and the limitations with respect to controls are limited to size, height, setback, those type of restrictions. As far as the use is concerned, you're powerless to restrict the use or prohibit the use. The matter came before the planning board. Initially, they denied the request for a site plan review. It was appealed to the Superior Court. The Superior Court, following the law and the statute, basically said that the planning board was wrong. They sent it back, said basically hold your hearing. They held the hearing. They have imposed certain conditions in their new basic decision, and it's now, the decision has just been forthcoming. So we don't know whether it's going to be appealed to the Superior Court or not. In all probability, it may be, but because of the conditions that were imposed, or at least some of the conditions that were imposed.
And can I just ask one follow-up, Mr. Mayor? And what if they didn't abide by those conditions that have set forth, in the permitting process? Does the city have any ability to, as we would with any other, license or establishment, to, pull the permit or do we have any remediation, if you will, on this type?
No, unfortunately, that's the statute. It's very broad as far as the use is concerned. And this, I recall, I believe it came before the council. I don't know if it came for official action, but I do remember that. I remember the Planning Development Office being here with reference to this. Unfortunately, it's a statute that sets strict guidelines as to what you can and can't do. Use is out the window. They're entitled to have that use. Yes, you can impose some conditions and restrictions, but they are very limited, and they're mostly as to, as I say, size of the building, height, setback, that type of thing. So we'll see where we go with these conditions that have been imposed, but it may well be appealed by the applicant.
And the only provision that these institutions need or they established under is that there is some education, some type of form of education, and the statute doesn't specify exactly what that is or what the
No, it's
criteria
been very
is.
broadly defined, very broadly defined, and it includes rehabilitation of troubled persons, really, with whatever the troubles might be.
Okay. Thank you. I'll look forward to the report, Mr. Solicitor. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilor Armin Mercier.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As a follow-up, through you to the solicitor, was the city represented in this appeal by the applicant?
Yes.
So someone from the law department?
Yes, Eric Schlegel was
on behalf of the city's
appeared
position?
before, yes, Judge McAvoy, on behalf of the city, made the best argument that he could, but unfortunately it was.
You see, I don't disagree with the use. I disagree with the expanded use as it relates to a site. I know that, and I had this trouble in my own neighborhood, that the use is very broadly defined, but this is not what I'm opposed to. I'm opposed to expanding that beyond what I think is reasonable in that neighborhood with 12 more apartments or rooms or whatever. That's the big question. I don't think we have a leg to stand on the use, but it would seem to me that we do have a leg to stand on as it relates to the additional units on that site, not the use of it, but the additional. So that's...
Well, my understanding was that there was an original building on one lot in which there were 12 units. The organization acquired the adjoining lot and sought to build an additional building that will house 12 more units. So it is a use question, you see, as to that other lot.
Yeah.
Councilor Caulfield.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Either through you, Mr. Manager, or the solicitor, what type of services are they going to offer at that facility?
I don't...
it's called
rehabilitation.
I don't have all of that information.
What
We certainly
rehabilitation?
can-
I think it's general counseling.
Yes.
Counseling that would take place, and we don't. I don't have that.
I think it's like temporary
My
rehabilitation by residential, temporary residential rehab candidates. But in terms of, the basic services that they would provide, we certainly can get that information and provide it to you. I don't have that at my fingertips.
I can include that. I can include that in the report,
okay.
though.
My biggest concern is these Stucklows a school, and there's 700 youngsters that go to that school. It's 400 feet away from that. I drove purposely by there tonight. That's my concern. And that's...
Okay, any further discussion on this issue?
Looking
All those in
forward to
favor of the
report.
motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, the motion is approved. The next motion by Councilor Caulfield. The City Council requests the City Manager have the Police Traffic Division place a crosswalk on Woburn Street at Grafton Street.
Second.
Second by Councilor Mercier. Councilor
Thank you,
Caulfield.
Mr. Mayor. I think the motion speaks for itself. I was out in South Lowell, I was talking to some parents, and their school children have to go across Woburn Street, waiting for the bus, and if it's possible, Mr. Manager, if you can make it happen, I appreciate it.
Mr. Manager?
Certainly, we'll take a look at that again. We've had a number of sites where we have this issue that we want to put a crosswalk, and unfortunately, with the new, some new requirements under the ADA, there's a need to have it meet certain accessibility requirements, and that becomes problematic for us, but we'll take a look at this
Thank
and
you.
do what
That's
we
all
can.
I'm asking.
Yep.
Right.
All those in favor of the motion say aye. Any opposed, the motion's approved. Next motion by Councilor Mendonça. City Council requests the City Manager of the Law Department draw a proper vote to remove the maintenance and replacement of residential water meters from the fee schedule, except in case of meter tampering. Second by Councilor Caulfield. Councilor Mendonça.
Thank you. The scenario would be is a homeowner, say, who is retired, lives on their own, usually have a water meter bill that's less than $50 per quarter, all of a sudden gets a bill for over $400. And there's been no leaks, nothing out of the ordinary. So they call the city and say, I don't understand why this bill is so high. The city goes out, investigates, finds out that the meter's defective, and then replace it and say, well, we'll adjust the water bill by the amount to the normal usage, and then from then forward it'll be fine. But then what happened was that for going into the home to replace the meter, they are now assessed a fee of $100. So when I first heard, I thought, that can't be. Normally the maintenance and replacements of meters are the responsibility of the utility, and that if that were to happen to an electric meter or a gas meter, the utility would do the replacement. There wouldn't be an extra fee to the ratepayer. So that seemed different from other utilities. I'm not sure what the impact would be on the city's revenues. I'm thinking it'll probably be relatively minimal. If the council should see itself moving this forward, then possibly it could also simultaneously refer it to the finance subcommittee, just so we know exactly what the impact might be. But I'm thinking it's minimal, and that we shouldn't penalize the homeowner because the meter became defective. I did leave that other part in there so that if there is tampering, then the fee could be assessed. My understanding is that before the fees were increased, that there was some latitude given to the people going in to do the maintenance, and they usually at that time only assessed the fee if they felt that there was some abuse or some tampering. But now the fees are strictly adhered to and are imposed. And so I just thought that it should be the responsibility of the utility and not the homeowner per se to be penalized, especially in the worst case scenario where the meter might become defective several times in 1 year. We're going to assess the fee over and over. And again, I don't think that's the responsibility of the homeowner. So that's the rationale for the motion.
Mr. Manager?
If I may, Councilor, perhaps what we could do is let me work with wastewater and water departments and see what the issues, some of the issues that they see with that are, and we can work with the law department on coming back with a report to the council that could be the necessary vote or a meeting with the finance subcommittee to discuss it in more detail. I'd need to get some more information from those departments, obviously, before I could weigh in on that. But I'd be happy to do that.
And that's certainly fine if the council would see its way to supporting this, is that I'm not asking to actually move ahead with it now, but to drop the proper vote, get more information so we understand what the implications are. But personally, I do think that it should be changed. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Broderick?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Point of clarification, then, are we voting to send it to the manager for more information to be reported to the finance subcommittee? Is that a... Excuse me.
I'll agree to that amendment.
Okay, so the amended to refer to the manager and report back to the finance subcommittee. And I don't know if it's possible, Mr. Manager, maybe the resident who's affected may or may not have the ability to appeal this particular charge to the water board. I don't know if they entertain that type of an appeal, but might be one avenue to help this resident while this process is working its way through. So we could maybe address that at the outset. Okay, all those in favor of the motion say aye. Any opposed? That motion is approved. Councilor Caulfield?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Before we adjourn, I was invited to attend the Portuguese TV channel 10 on Saturday morning, and I called the manager up and informed him that the neighborhood has some concerns about crosswalks, police officers walking the beat, cars parked on sidewalks, criminal activities that we can't discuss publicly. But they have some concerns, and I know you attended their monthly meeting last Monday. I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
But if we could set up a meeting, Mr. Manager, and walk through the neighborhood, and we'll discuss those issues with the leaders of the neighborhood and try to address them as well.
Mr. Manager?
Councilor, I'd be happy to, myself, or have someone from my staff, more likely would be myself, to do that in the very near future. I did, as you indicated, I did meet with the back Central Neighborhood group just last week. It was a very good turnout. Superintendent Select LaValle was also there with me, and he gave a very good report on the crime statistics in that area, and we've seen remarkable progress there in terms of dealing with some of the issues. So we certainly feel that things are heading in the right direction, but if there are further concerns by other residents out there, we'd be happy to try to work with those.
Pick a time and a date, and Saturday, some Saturday or something like that, and maybe other councils can go on that tour with us. So.
Motion to adjourn by Councilor Broderick, second by Councilor Armin Mercier. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Meeting stands adjourned.